Very sad story. All right. 12-year-old tried to hang herself after being bullied by classmates. Put it with the picture full mass. Parents of a 12-year-old black child who attempted to unalive herself last year are now suing who? The teachers and the school district in Greenville County, South Carolina. Why? Because once again, negligence. Negligence in how they responded to the alleged bullying and harassment of their daughter. Ty Turner says she found her daughter hanging from a belt in her bedroom on the evening of March 18th, 2023. She told WYFF that her daughter was already cool to the touch and bleeding from her nose, and that paramedics could not find her pulse. They could not find her heartbeat for 8 full minutes. She suffered severe brain damage and was in a coma for weeks, staying in the hospital for 101 days. Now she's 14. She is nonverbal and still has no control over her body. She is dependent on breathing tubes and feeding tubes and requires around-the-clock care from her parents and part-time nurses. The young Turner first experienced bullying at Dr. Phineas J. Fisher Middle School. This was August 2021. This is a report provided to the school. In December 2021, fellow students called her a man and a roach. And teacher Olivia Bennett's class, the complaint says, quote, Miss Bennett was complicit in the bullying and said nothing to the other students to stop it. One student asked, where's the roach? Miss Bennett pointed to the child. End quote. Ty Turner emailed Miss Bennett and the school principal to complain, noting in her email that, quote, children had committed from this type of behavior in the past. The next day, the principal acknowledged her complaint and said they were, quote, working tirelessly to repair whatever is damaged, end quote. Both parents then met with the teacher to address the incident and discuss the need for the student leading the bullying to separate from her daughter on January 26, 2022. That student confronted and, quote, cussed out the young child for telling her parents about the bullying incident, but was not disciplined, the lawsuit alleges. The bullying continued throughout 2022. Quote, with no actions taken by the defendants, according to the complaint, which details other incidents and reports to school officials by the girl's mother, including a fight between her daughter and another student, March 2022, after which the young child was suspended and, quote, the student who caused the fight was not. May 23rd, 2022, one of her classmates played a song and video on YouTube called, quote, the Black People Song. Defendant John Tier, a teacher, quote, allowed the song to be played without any comment of its offensiveness, nor any reprimand to or discussion with the student who played it, quote, the complaint says, end quote, the complaint says. Her mother emailed the principal, Principal Smith, and Metris Kane, another school teacher. The complaint about the video, Kane allegedly replied the following day that faculty, quote, had been speaking with other students and that the investigation would be continued the next day. She concluded by saying, just wanted you to know that we are not taking this concern lightly, end quote. October 2022, Turner informed the school that another student had been pushing her daughter several times over the past month. The lawsuit states the offending student was not punished and that the only reaction by the faculty was to tell the girl to inform them that it had happened. The bullying continued, the complaint says, including an incident when the young girl's clothes had water poured on them and were then thrown into the trash. Students made more disparaging comments about her appearance in the ensuing months. Says Todd Turner, including that she looked like a man, that she was called trans, mustache face, nappy head, and more. This was done in the presence of teachers and school staff members with no repercussion, despite the school's, quote, zero tolerance to bullying, according to a Facebook post by Turner in October. Now, before I get into how the child attempted to solve these dilemmas, I want to remind everyone that we've talked about this often, how school systems routinely would disregard racism as bullying. They decide to contextualize it as horseplay, sometimes as aggressive language, but they will not classify it as bullying, even though it is. It obviously is. Many of these institutions receive federal money when they report less and less incidents of bullying as part of their goals matrix. And by them defining what bullying is and is not, they manipulate the record in order to obtain a favorable output. The young child attempted to take her own life by hanging herself on March 18, 2023. As a direct result of the bullying of 5 Fisher Middle School students, the lawsuit alleges 2 students added insult to injury by coming to visit her in the ICU and then taking photos of her and circulating them on social media, according to the complaint. The plaintiffs anticipate that she will be permanently disabled and will likely have to undergo medical treatment, including therapy, for the rest of her life, and will need constant care. They are seeking actual and punitive damages to cover her medical bills, psychiatric expenses, special education, lost wages, life care expenses, disability care, injury to her psychic and emotional state, loss of enjoyment of life. The parents are also suing for damages for themselves, anticipating lost wages from having to take time to manage her care, as well as for legal costs and substantial injury to her psyche and emotional state. That is a proper lawsuit. In the meantime, the family has set up a GoFundMe to pay for expenses that are now expenses, including a wheelchair accessible van, medical needs for home care, and more. I encourage anyone who can, please, to contribute. I will be contributing today myself. We will also place a link when we post this on our social media and YouTube accounts so that you can make a contribution by going there as well. Put them up full mass. Take a good look at them. Principal Jeremy Smith and Superintendent Dr. W. Burke Royster. In his answer to the lawsuit, the Greenville County Schools denied most of the allegations by the plaintiffs, including that its teachers or staff breached any of their duties or that the school district violated any federal laws. The district admitted that Ms. Bennett, the teacher, pointed to the child when another student posed the question, "Where's the roach?" And that Turner had sent several emails to school officials complaining about bullying of her daughter and how they had responded. The district contended that all of its teachers and staff are immune from liability under what? South Carolina tort law, and that the school district is protected by limitations on damages through state tort law and sovereign immunity. Not if the conduct is malicious. Now that they veered outside of the normative boundaries of their position. Now that the acts were criminal. Those are your exceptions. And it seems as if your response was actually written by an attorney and not by a school official. I'm pretty sure I'm right on that, because the response doesn't say you investigated all of these allegations, your findings will be forthcoming, or that you look to defend yourself in court. You're looking to not have to defend yourself in court because of the legislatures who passed these laws in order to protect cowards like you. Sharing thoughts.
That's a Confederate state for you, all these years and decades, century later. I have never heard this child speak, and she may not be able to in her diminished capacity any longer. But I have this voice in my head and this vision of her asking, "Why you hate me?" Not only did they not intervene, they protected the behavior of the offending students here. And I am so thrilled that you pointed out the money, because as you went through that, Dr. Ritchie, it reminded me of college campuses and sexual assault and how they categorized it so that they could report less and get more because of it. This country is so ugly. And the ugliest part to me was that lying in ICU, you said the students went there, took pictures, and distributed them.
That's right.
It's outrageous. I can't imagine being these parents, knowing that if she doesn't recover, one of my greatest fears is that you leave this earth and you're not able to protect your child, who in this case will need it.
Yeah.
Outrageous.
Yeah. We will keep everyone updated. I highly encourage, if you can, make a contribution to the GoFundMe.